Hello dear viewers and happy National Day. Welcome to our English edition. Here are our major stories. The head of state has presided this morning the ceremonies of the 40th anniversary of independence. Technical progression with the organization of multiple live events over the country by the RTD. Thank you for joining us in our newsroom. The Republic of Djibouti has celebrated today, Wednesday, June 27, 2018, the 41st year anniversary of its accession to the national sovereignty. An independence gained after a long struggle marked by great sacrifices and suffering, especially for those who gave their lives to get rid of colonialism and guide the people to its new destiny. This anniversary day marks the cohesion of a whole people who celebrate together and enjoy this event. The celebration of the national holiday allows Djiboutians to transcend their rivalries and to overcome the difficulties of everyday life and put aside their sensibilities and their political tendencies. Each anniversary marks as it's customary to see the launch or inaugurations of many development projects that allow the country to progress, the completion of several construction projects offering citizens jobs and adapted housing, the commissioning of fourth generation of internet network for telecommunications and new free zones, or recently the inauguration of a factory for the manufacture of iron preceded the celebration of this 27th June. It is true that the inauguration of the last year were raised and more important because of a much more specific anniversary, the 40th anniversary. If the military parades mark the high point of this celebration last night, the demonstrations of joy and national pride were amplified through the organization of shows and folk dances. These events were broadcast live on national radio and television, and from 3 different sides were assured with mastery to the general satisfaction. Once again, the RTD has shown that it remains present during these great moments, and these live broadcasts were assured from the evening until morning, allowing everyone to see what is happening on television and at home. The festivities continued this morning at the site of the usual parades with an impressive parade of National Army Forces that mobilized all its human and material resources to celebrate it with honor. The event was also celebrated across the country in all the chancelleries in all the land where the Djiboutian army forces are deployed, like Somalia, and the traditional military parade on June 27 was followed by the traditional reception offered at the presidential palace, a reception organized under the high patronage of the head of state Ismail Margeli and the First Lady Khadra Mahmoud Haid. Here too the event was broadcast live on radio and was widely followed by Djiboutians in the country in uproar for the attention of the Djiboutian diaspora. Thousands of Djiboutians made a trip to the site of the ceremony to follow the military parade on the occasion of the 41st anniversary, which brought together several thousands of soldiers and their means. All senior officials of the country, including Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed, President of the Assembly Mohammed Ali Ahmed, members of the government, senior administrative officers, religious and customary military administrative policy, participated in the celebration of the 41st anniversary under the sign of unity, peace and solidarity. First, it was the Chief of General Staff of the Armed Forces, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, who reviewed the troops of the Armed Forces. He then invited the Head of State and the Minister of Defense to do the same. And upon his arrival at the site of the ceremony, the Supreme Commander of the Army Forces, President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Margeli, was received by the Minister of Defense in charge of relations with the Parliament, Mr. Ali Hassan Badon, and the Chief of General Staff of the National Armed Forces, General Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim. The President of the Republic paid tribute to the various military forces. This occasion was held in the memory of the 44th anniversary of the large military parade dedicated annually to commemorate the cohesion. in which different formations of the Army or Police and Gendarmerie, Republican Guard, Navy, Coast Guards, and Civil Defense participated. In addition to this, a number of American, French, Chinese, Japanese, and Italian forces took part in solidarity with the Djiboutian people on this great occasion. This solemn military parade was held under the auspices of the President of the Republic and in the presence of the Prime Minister Abdul Qadir Kamil Mohammed, President of the National Assembly Mohammed Ali Hamid, Minister of Defense Ali Hassan Badon, and other members of government and deputies participated in the celebration of the National Day. Also, parliamentary delegation of the federal government and officials of Ethiopia, in addition to high-level military. Thereafter, the President reviewed in turn the troops of the armed forces positioned to the parade of the 44th anniversary ceremony before taking place at the official platform for the occasion, where President Gele followed with the present guests, including members of the government, senior officials of the country, diplomats accredited in Djibouti, the parade of the troops. in for the parade of the Defense and Security Forces of this year 2018, marking the commemoration of the 44th anniversary of the accession to the independence of our country. More than 2,360 men and women, 410 vehicles and 61 motorcycles are gathered this Wednesday, June 27, 2018, along this track dedicated to the celebration of this 44th national anniversary. This year, the parade of the Defense and Security Forces is placed under the command of Colonel Wahib Musa Galile in the fourth place. The parade of the troops on foot, followed by that of the motorized troops. The parade of the troops on foot is divided into two blocks, namely a first block strolling in a second block parade with singing. The march of the troops on foot of the defense forces is followed by the leaders of the corps or their representatives. Two female army personnel under the command of the commander Amina Muhammad Musa. Then the parade of the student officers of the RTD Joint Military Academy with Lieutenant Abazid Yusuf Ahmed at their head, a unit composed of Air Force headed by Abdullah Hussein Ahmed, and finally the sailors of the Navy with as unit commander Lieutenant Ibrahim Yusuf Dabar to close the parade of troops on foot for the defense forces. As for the second block of troops on foot, the army sang songs highlighting their formation of courage. These troops will follow each other as follows. In the first place, the regime headquarters headed by Second Lieutenant Idris Abdullah Dawood, followed by a company of the army regime led by the Second Lieutenant Muhammad Ali Durar, and finally two blocks of young recruits at the end of the training and the President Gulait Military School in Halhol, and under the command of the battalion commander Muhammad Jamal Kayad, commander of the military school.
Sur décret présidentiel le 4 décembre 2010. Placé sous tutelle du ministère de l'Équipement et des Transports, c'est au cours du défilé des troupes à pied de la gare des Peurs, composé des deux blocs, placés sous les ordres du colonel Waïs Umar Boré, commandant les gardes des côtes djiboutiennes, suivi de près par le drapeau de cette institution. Après les gardes au drapeau vont parader devant vous deux pelotons des personnels féminins de l'armée de terre, les BEFAT, sous les ordres du commandant Amna Mohamed Moussa. Le peloton de pêcheurs est suivi de près par la parade des élèves officiers de l'Académie militaire interarmes d'Assad, avec à leur tête le lieutenant Abaïdi Youssouf Ahmed.
Thereafter, the large crowd attending the military parade continued to follow the parade of motorized vehicles in front of the President of the Republic, members of the government, military and civilian figures. The second part of this military parade, namely the parade of motorized troops, was placed under the command of Commander Colonel Fuad Edmiwaisi, Director of Central Director of Equipment. Procession of Republican Guard bikers in a forward-based triangle led by 2nd Lieutenant Sugiroble Elebe and the vehicles of the Republican Guard under the command of Lieutenant Hussein Jama' Miqini, a commander specialized squadron, with the vehicles of the Republican Guard equipped with 12.7mm and 14.5mm weapons intervention vehicles, as well as troop transport and logistic vehicles. Then the parade of the motorized troop of the National Gendarmerie, commanded by Captain Hussein Mohammed Qayat, Director of Administrative and Financial Services. Constitution of the motorized device of the National Guard, bikers from the Road Safety Squadron, the vehicles of the judicial units, the squadron of road safety, the group of mobile gendarmerie. These means carry the specifications of their units of membership. New means of intervention are equipped this year with jeeps and vehicles carrying multiple grenades, tactical vehicles of patrol, armored vehicles of combat and maintenance of the order. And finally, support vehicles consist mainly of transport vehicles and logistics. After the parade of the National Gendarmerie, it is the turn of the motorized troop of the National Police, led by the Commander Ahmed Elmi Daliye, to present the procession of the bikers and vehicles of the National Police. Just after the National Police, the motorized troops of the Coast Guard marched under the command of the Commander Muhammad Adaw Mohammed, Deputy Commander of the Coast Guard. The motorized troops are composed of means of transport and past nautical means of intervention at sea. These launchers designed for a fast intervention on the high seas during search and rescue operations, but also in the interceptions of persons in violation offenses at sea. As for the motorized parade of defense forces, the Central Material Management, under the command of the Battalion Commander Abdi Farah Hush, Deputy Commission Officer, the parade of the vehicles of the artillery regime is placed under the orders of the Colonel Muhammad Hersi Umar. Parade of the motorized troops of the armored regime, spearhead of the Djiboutian army, places under the command of its chief of the Lieutenant Colonel Dahir Hassan Abdid. And finally, to close the march of the parade of the motorized troops, the parade of vehicles of intervention and fight against the fires and natural disasters, and the motorized troops of the civil protection led by the 2nd Lieutenant Hussein Qasim. And after the military parade on the occasion of the 44th anniversary, in the presence of all senior officials of the country and representative of friendly countries and international organizations, the President of the Republic, Mrs. Ismail Margili, proceeded to the Monument of Martyrs located in front of the palace. The President laid a wreath in memory of all the Djiboutian and martyrs who sacrificed for the country. He was surrounded by all the members of the government of senior civil and military officials. On this occasion, a Fatiha was recited in memory of the victims, followed by supplications.
اللهم اغفر لشهدائنا وشهداء المسلمين، اللهم اغفر لهم وارحمهم واعذهم من عذاب القبر ومن فتنة النار وادخلهم الجنة دار السلام. الفاتحة لهم.
And on the occasion of the 44th anniversary of the country's accession to national independence, a photo exhibition was organized on the side of the military parade, where all the military forces marched to celebrate this great moment full of emotions, remembering the martyrs and the joy felt by the Djiboutians. The painting exhibited had a particular meaning with the photos of the father of the independence, the late Haji Hassan Goulet, and the current President Ismail Margili, pioneer to march toward the modern development of our young republic since its accession to the highest office in 1999. In addition, the photos of high personalities, some of whom are still alive, including the former chief of the general staff of Army Forces, General Fathi Shaman, and other personalities were also on display. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Ismail Margili, gave a reception at the esplanade of the Presidential Palace, accompanied by the First Lady and Unity President Mrs. Qadra Mahmoud Hayat. This reception is given every year, and this is another way to celebrate the holiday with the citizens. It is in a good atmosphere that the guests were welcomed, and where the Djiboutians who came to attend this ceremony were able to appreciate the animations offered by the present musical troops. As soon as they arrived on the scene, the President of the Republic, Ismail Margili, and the First Lady of the country, Mrs. Qadra Mahmoud Hayat, wished a happy Independence Day to all Djiboutians while greeting their guests.
Yo, calanku sawgayma
In the reception organized at the Presidential Palace, the head of state gave an important speech calling again Djiboutians to remain united. Let's listen to the head of state.
J'ai prié le Très-Haut pour qu'il les accueille dans son paradis éternel. Amen.
From a just cause, the eternal recognitions of the nation, I pray the highest to welcome them into his eternal paradise. My dear compatriots, on the 27th June in 1977, when the Djiboutians finally pulled their sovereignty from the colonial yoke, we opened the door to our freedom, our dignity, and our pride. We inaugurate the breath of our development and our prosperity, and above all we made ourselves master of our destiny and national destiny. I express my gratitude to the defense and security forces because they are the indispensable guarantor of our sovereignty and our identity. Wherever it is needed at our borders in Somalia and other parts of the world, our forces serve as relays, but also as a bulwark to our republic and its values of peace, freedom, and solidarity. My dear compatriots, it is to us Djiboutians that they belong to cultivate the faith of sovereignty. It is to us Djiboutians that they belong to reflect, to decide, and to act for the goods of our people and our nations. People cannot, will do it in our place. Nobody can do it and must do it for us. That's why when our country contacts military and economic agreement with other countries with the sole purpose of development and the well-being of our people, no arrangement, no clause, and no compromises can bar the sights of our sovereignty, that is to say, our right to defend the supreme interest of our nation. My dear compatriots, since the advent of our independence, we remain faithful to one ambition, the only one that counts and which encompasses all others, build a free and prosperous nation. We have never deviate from this trajectory on which our country has evolved, and this despite difficulties and obstacles.
He also mentioned the progress made by the country. Here is the second part of his speech.
Nos acquis d'hier et d'aujourd'hui,
my dear compatriots, our achievement of yesterday and today must not overshadow the major challenges still open to us. The success recorded in the field of access to education and access to health should encourage us to go forward on the path of collective growth, in a spirit that I have decreed that the year 2020 is the year of housing. The government is committed to make this big project accelerate. All those who contribute to the access of our compatriots to decent housing will be mobilized. I gave directives in this direction for the Department of Social Housing to be increased so that obtaining service flows in facilitating, and finally for the zero slums operations to be completed. My dear compatriots, the economic upturns of our country must impact of our conditions of existence through the national territory. This is the only requirement that applies, and that's why through decentralization is encouraging us administrative management of proximity more to even to understand the specific needs of our compatriots in the regions and in their environments, which is why we exploit the potential of our region with the establishment of the regional economic centers. The commemoration is also an opportunity to recall our values of peace, solidarity, justice, hospitality, and also an opportunity to recall our values of peace and freedom. For at the moment when we celebrate our sovereignty in patriotic enthusiasm and fervor, we cannot have a fraternal thought of people for the suffering people of the world. I think of Syria, where an absolute war risks destabilizing an entire region. I think of Palestine, where occupation and abject colonization martyrs an entire people. I also think closer to us in Yemen, or the armed opposition supported by the forces and other foreign powers are to be refused the legitimate government and may suffer people for 3 long years pushing it too often to the exile. The Republic of Djibouti has received a dignified welcome by opening its territory, by profiling its legendary hospitality. I also think of our country that is recovering after more of Somalia, that is recovering after more than a decade of insecurity and a time when Shabab terrorists are losing ground, that the current government's efforts are crowned with success. We must do everything to ensure that this process of pacification and liberation are irreversible.
The President of the Republic received many congratulatory messages on the occasion of this anniversary, such as that of the servant of the 2 holy mosques, King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, who today sent a congratulatory message to the President of the Republic of Djibouti, Ismail Omar Guelleh, at the occasion of the Independence Day of the country. King Salman, in his name and on behalf of the people of Saudi Arabia, expressed his sincere congratulations and best wishes for good health to the President and as well to the government and people of the Republic of Djibouti for the progress and prosperity. And as well, the Prince and Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, Crown Prince, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Defense, sent a congratulatory message to the President of the Republic of Djibouti on the occasion of his country's Independence Day. The Crown Prince expressed his sincere congratulations and best wishes to the President in mid further progress and prosperity to the government and the people of the Republic of Djibouti. Well, this is it for this occasion. Thank you for joining us on Radio Television of Djibouti. Once again, happy Independence Day.